Welcome to Heavenly Creations. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these train cupcake decorations. To make the engine of the train, we're going to take some red fondant and we're going to roll it out. We're going to cut a rectangle out of it, just freehanding a rectangle here, and it's probably better to make it too large than too small. There's our little rectangle, and we're going to set that aside for when we actually assemble it here in a little bit. We're also going to want to keep our red on hand, we're going to use it for detail a little bit later on. Then we're going to take our blue fondant. We're going to take some of it and we're going to want to form a couple of balls. One is going to be a bit bigger than the other one, so just roll it into a ball. And sometimes it helps to knead it all together and then roll it into a ball. So once you have two balls, different sizes, you're going to form the smaller ball into kind of a rectangular shape just with your fingers. Kind of a long rectangle. And it's not going to be perfectly square, obviously, but you can do the best you can. Just like that. And then you're going to take the bigger one and you're going to form it into kind of a taller rectangle. So like this. Just like that. And then to get them to make sure that they stick, you can wet both sides that you're going to stick together so that they stick together. And you can play with the sizing a little bit more if you want. Just like that. Then we're going to take a little bit more blue fondant and make a couple more circles. One's going to be pretty small and one's going to be a little bit bigger. One you want to be a perfect circle and the other one you want to kind of be like a stick, like this. And then what I'm going to do is actually use, anything will work, but anything to get a little bit of a divot in the top. So this might work. Just somehow make it look like a little smokestack is what we're going for here. And this is kind of small work, so be patient with yourself. Then we're going to wet down the top of the smaller square. We're going to stick the little smokestack right there and the little ball right in front of it. Just like that. Then what we're going to do is take our red piece of fondant. We're going to see. Looks a little bit big, so let's make it a little bit smaller. And we're going to kind of round the edges so it doesn't look quite so much like a square. And you can make these in any colors that you want. That's the fun part. So, you know, if you have a particular color train that you want to make, then you can do that. This is just meant to be the roof, so we'll see. I think that looks about right. So we'll wet this down on top here. And like I said, I mean, this is kind of tedious work, so take your time and enjoy it and see what comes out of it. Put that on there just like that. Looks pretty good. Then the detail work begins. Take a little bit of white fondant, and I do mean quite a little bit, and we're going to roll it out. And we're going to cut out 2 squares to put on the sides as windows. Two tiny little squares. So we may need to roll this on its side here, and we're going to wet down that side. I'm going to put this little piece of white right up kind of underneath the roof. Flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. The other piece. Right up and under the roof a little, so that as you're looking at it, it kind of is taking shape. Okay. Then we're going to take a little bit more red and we're going to roll it out into a long string. That looks about right. And then that we're going to put around the front bottom of the smaller square. Just like this. So you can press it up and against it. Yep, just like that. And we can stick it on the back part as well a little ways. Just like that. Very good. Then we're going to take a little bit more of the red and we're going to roll it out even to a smaller string, which gets a little bit complicated. So you can do the best you can. The smaller you get little strings of fondant, the harder they are to work with, really. We're going to cut one here. And what we're hoping to do is come up and around the top, the front piece of this engine. So we want to start on the bottom part here, just like this. Go around. That looks about right. Just like that. Perfect. Okay, then we're going to go back to our, or actually we're going to go then to our black. Have a little bit of black fondant. And we're going to take the black fondant and we're going to make 2 little tiny balls to begin with. And they're going to go right on the front as like lights almost. So they're going to go one on each side here of the very, very front. Just like that. And then we're going to take the black fondant and we're going to make 4 wheels. We're going to make the back wheels to be larger. So make circles. And then we're just going to gently push them kind of flat. And if you want to add more detail to them, you can, with a knife or something, you can put like little spoke indents in it. Depends on how detailed you want to be. Then we're going to take still our black fondant and we're going to make 2 small, slightly smaller circles and do the same thing, flatten them out. And if you want to add the spoke look to it, you can. Don't have to, unless you're right up next to it. I'm not sure that you'll notice. And then we're going to take and dampen up the sides, kind of back towards the under the window, right where this red is ending, is where we're going to put our bigger wheel. And then right up towards the front is where we're going to put our smaller wheel. So just like that, and then we repeat it on the other side. And once you get it all put together, you probably want to let it sit for a while and kind of solidify all the things that you've put together. But there you go, a little tiny fondant train engine. To make the cars that go behind the engine, what you're going to do is take some colored fondant, and it's up to you what color you want to start with to make the car. Then you're going to form it into a ball, and then you're going to form it into a square. And what I'm doing right now is I'm actually making it so that it kind of looks like a box, an empty box. So we're just kind of forming it up. Just kind of push up the sides, just like this, till it's a square. And then what we're going to do is wet down the sides, the two sides towards the base. We're going to put our wheels on there. So 2 wheels on each side, and I've pre-made these with black fondant, just like this. I rolled them into little balls, and then I just squished them gently with my finger, so that then you have that. And then we're going to fill it. And this time I'm going to fill it with some orange balls. I don't know why, but that's just what we're going to put in it. Maybe it's your version of orange coal or something. So you're just going to make a bunch of orange balls with the orange fondant. And then we're going to stick them inside here. So I'm going to moisten up the inside of this so that they stick in there. And then just toss them in and pile them up so that they look like, you know, there's a bunch in there. And you just keep doing that until it's full. And they won't all be the exact same size, and that's part of the fun of it. Is just having fun with, you know, the size of what you put in. You could make little trees and put them in there if you wanted to go into great detail. You could do any number of little fun things. As you get new layers, you can moisten up the orange ones you've already put in there so that the next layer will stick. And then you just keep filling it up until you like the way that it looks. Like that. So then when you look at it, it's kind of full. If you want to add some more detail to it, you can take some red fondant. This will also tie it in with your engine. You can take some red fondant and roll it into a string, rather thin string. Woo! And then we're gonna dampen up the front here. And we'll do the same thing to the back. And we're gonna run this along the base of it. Like that, and that kind of gives it a little bit of an edge. It also ties it in, connects it with the engine, which also has that red trim, I guess you could call it. You won't really notice that at a distance. And you can add more detail to it if you want, but otherwise, there's your little car that you'll stick on a cupcake behind the one that looks like an engine. These are fun little decorations that you can add to cupcakes, little train engine, and other little cars, and you can add different colors and different accents to them, whatever you want to do with them. I hope you enjoy making these. Thank you for your views and your subscriptions.